What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel for another 1/6 scale figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Iconiq Studios Akuma 1/6 scale figure from Street Fighter V. Now, I've been really excited to take a look at this one for quite a while. I was just waiting for it to release. Iconiq has been slowly releasing things just to make sure everything comes out as perfect as it can be, so I cannot wait to take a look at this figure. The Ken and Ryu were fantastic. If you want to check out the reviews on my channel, links will be in the description below. So real quick though, let's dive into the art box. We'll take out the plastic clamshells and we'll see how it arrives to you when it lands on your doorstep. A couple things to note: as you could see, the actual art box itself unfolds into a stage background, just like Ryu and Ken. Of course, we'll take a look at this more in the posing segment of the video. And one more thing, on the slip cover, just like the previous two figures, you have that awesome special moves list, everybody that worked on the project here. And towards the bottom, you'll see it provides you with a link. Make sure you register your purchase on the website for warranty purposes. Also, I think they give you a discount code for doing this, or at least they used to, so it's worth a try. I highly recommend doing it once you get your figure in. And I also feel like Iconiq does my favorite type of instruction manual. It's not all folded up and taped in the box. You're greeted with it right when you open the figure, and I think that's great. It's easily accessible, and maybe you won't be lazy about reading them because you don't have to open it up or anything. But I love the illustrations, all of the explanations. Everything's very easy to read and very easily laid out, so definitely want to commend them on that. As you can see, there's actually a decent amount of stuff included with this set. Quite a few of the items here are individually plastic wrapped, which I like to see. For some reason, they didn't wrap the hands or the feet. I'm guessing it had issues fitting into the packaging when you close the lids down. Just my guess. Also, something very unique about this one that you didn't see with the other two figures from this line is there's no head pre-installed on the body. I'm guessing they did that for a couple of reasons. Number one, the necklace there. It just makes it easier. You don't have to pull the head off and then put the necklace on. It's just ready to go. Definitely like that. And also, maybe they didn't want to make the box any taller. If you have that head installed on there, the hair is a bit on the taller side, you would have to make the box a little bit bigger. So I'm totally fine with that. Just an observation of mine. But anyways, let's take the figure and all of the accessories out of these plastic clamshells, and let's take a closer look at all of the details. I often forget how large these hands are in comparison to other 1/6 scale figures, just based on how the Street Fighter art style translates into 1/6 scale figures. It's very interesting. But these hands are really nicely done, just like the previous figures. You have some similar kind of grappling hands here with all three of these, but all of them obviously are unique to Akuma. The paint apps are really nice on these. Something I want to point out, I love that they put some gloss on the fingernails right there. It just adds that bit of realism. I think they absolutely nailed that skin tone of Akuma, that like tannish skin tone. It looks really good. Everything is really nicely done. There's another like kind of palm gesture for using the flame effects and everything. But you do get 6 extra hands included with this set and 2 pre-installed on the figure. You also get a set of swap out feet, just like the previous figures, with a bit of a curve in them for some action poses. These are really cool to see because the previous two figures obviously were completely barefoot, whereas Akuma actually has these little cool sandals on them. There's some weathering as we get close up on the details. That sculpted in detail is really nice. Again, you can see that angle there. Flipping it to the underside, there's some weathering in all the creases and everything. Really nice details on those sculpted in creases. I highly recommend when swapping these guys out, you use heat. It's very difficult to swap these. It was on the previous two figures. Being that this is the same body, I imagine it's about the same, but they are really nicely done. Again, on these, you do have gloss on the toenails, just like on the fingernails. They look great. What are those? Just like Ryu, this set comes with a fireball accessory and a stand for it. And to peg it into the stand, you just plug it into the hole here on the underside. And now I have 2 fireballs. For those who are curious, this appears to be the exact same sculpt for the Ryu fireball accessory and the Akuma fireball accessory. I'm okay with that. Personally, I wouldn't have them both using the fireball at the same time, but I feel like even if you do, it's not going to throw off your display at all. But I think both of them look very good, and it's a nice change of pace having this pink fire effect here. And the other flame effect pieces you get are for the hands. These look very good. I love the sculpt on these. I love the resin they use. That translucent pink resin looks really good. You can see the way the light hits it, there's almost some like purple hits in the edges. It looks great. Also, it has that glossiness to it, which really adds to the effect. These obviously go over the forearms and then you peg the hands on. I cannot wait to see these on the figure. But yeah, they look awesome. You get the same style display base and grabber that came with the previous two figures. I do like how this display base looks overall. That Street Fighter V logo is perfect on that black background. It's very punchy. Also, of course, on this one, you have a metal Akuma nameplate. The one thing, I wish these were a little bit smaller, just ever so slightly. And also, this is a piece of film on here, so it's not actually scratched up. It's very shiny. Kind of too shiny in my opinion. I noticed the surface was so shiny, it left like these weird shiny marks on the bottom of Ryu and Ken's feet because they're barefoot. Not a huge deal because you'll never see it, just something I noticed. The beaded necklace is actually a really nicely done accessory. The beads actually feel like real wood, even if they're not. You do have that one kind of etched in painted symbol there on the bottom. Something that surprised me, which is a really welcome feature, this is actually wired. So if you have him fighting and this is like flailing around on his neck, you can kind of have it like flapping in the wind as much as you can. It's going to shift on his neck. It's pretty sturdy. So, but either way, it looks really good. And I love that they included that bendable wire. That really made me happy because I expected it to be like an elastic cord on the inside. Last, but certainly not least for the accessories, we have what I'm calling the alternate head sculpt because it does have that gritting teeth expression. I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't think Iconiq has missed yet on a head sculpt. I think this looks fantastic, and don't you worry, we'll get even closer up on those details on the face. The hair looks pretty finely detailed for an animated video game style character. That top knot looks really nice. I love how that looks. Just a really nicely done head sculpt. I think they nailed the paint color on the hair. They nailed that flesh tone. Those eyes look amazing, and there's something very unique with those that I'll show you very shortly, but just really nicely done. And again, as you get closer up, you can see the wrinkles in the face. The teeth have some really nice gloss on them to look realistic. The expression is just great. It's very Akuma. That's the best way I could put it. I want to zoom in even closer though, so we can get a better look at those details in a little bit different lighting. So as you can see, as we super zoom, as I call it, there on the front, those wrinkles around the eyes and in the forehead and around the mouth just really come out. What a great angry expression sculpt. This looks awesome. Again, the paint does look a little bit flat, but that is by design. It is a video game character. We have to keep that in mind. The eyes look great, and like I said, there is a hidden feature with these eyes that I'm going to show you now that's really cool. Now that's really cool. As you can see, I've turned the lighting down a little bit and I've applied a UV light here, so you can see the eyes do actually glow. They have UV reactive paint on them. I will say, if you look closely, the paint doesn't fully cover the eyeball. It's a bit on the sloppier side. You can also see a little dot in the corner of the eye on mine that's not actually on the eye. Not a huge deal to me because I won't be using this UV effect. But if I was, I would probably be a little bit more upset about that. But nevertheless, I think it looks awesome. It's a nice added feature, and it's very true to the character once again. So definitely really cool. But now without further ado, we've gone through all of the accessories. Let's grab the Akuma 1/6 scale figure by Iconiq and see what we think of it. First impressions, what an absolute beast, an absolute tank of a figure, guys. This has that same steel cord silicone skin body produced by TB League as the Ken and the Ryu, just a different flesh tone, of course. But what an amazing looking figure, guys. I am so overjoyed that this guy turned out how we all had hoped. It's been a little bit since he was announced, but man, the wait was worth it. Iconiq has been a bit on the slower side lately with their releases, but it's for good reason, because when they release, the figure looks great, it's top notch, and I honestly can say, just first impressions here, they've definitely delivered on this Akuma. As we get a bit closer up, you get a better look at that neutral expression head sculpt, and man, does it look good, does it look close to the game. They've done such an awesome job with their head sculpts, especially with their Street Fighter line. It looks really good. In terms of the clothing, the actual gi is fully wired like on previous figures. The wiring runs all the way down the collar, all the way down to the bottom here. You can see the wiring is very substantial, no bounciness, it just goes where you want it to go. So very, very nicely done. Of course, the belt as well also has wiring. They've been very good about this. Even like Ken's little wrap that he has on his long hair, that had wiring in it, and I believe, and also the bandana that was on Ryu's head also had wiring. So really good to see that continuity across the line. Of course, the body, like I mentioned earlier, is the same body that we saw with Ryu, just with a different skin tone. So of course it is technically unique to this figure, but the musculature, the bulkiness to the body, it just looks amazing. So I'm not angry they reused this. I showed this in my other videos, but you could see that chest under there. I'll pull the other side over as well. Just a really dope custom body. For those who are curious about what that that white powder is. They usually put that white powder on these silicone bodies to kind of keep from all the oils in your fingers seeping into the silicone, keep it from cracking. Just overall good for maintenance on these figures. I've seen some people put flour on it before. I don't know if that's good or bad for it. But again, the outfit looks excellent. Pre-installed on the figure, we have two flat feet. Obviously, I showed you the bent feet earlier. Again, those little flip-flops, they look really nice. And I love, love, love that they added the gloss on the toenails and the fingernails. It looks very realistic. Speaking of the fingernails, of course, pre-installed on the figure, you knew we were going to get a set of punching hands. Those, of course, look awesome on any fighter type figure, so definitely a need with this type of figure. As we move it to the back, you can see he does have the kanji there on the back. It looks really nicely printed onto the outfit here. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like it's going to crack. This also is UV reactive, and I definitely want to see how that compares to the eyes, so give me 1 second. Let me show you that really quick. Unfortunately, it doesn't really come off on camera as good as it does in person, but I'll show you as I put the light on there. You can see it's very, very bright. That looks awesome. In person, it literally looks like it's lighting up, so that's definitely a really cool effect. Okay, yeah, after seeing this neutral head sculpt with the UV reactive eyes lit up, you can see these are way more uniform. The eyes are way more filled in by that UV reactive paint. So I would definitely say the paint was a bit poor on my alternate head sculpt, but that's okay. Real quick, before we move on to the final posing segment, I did want to show you that beaded necklace installed. As you can see, it definitely kind of completes that look. I think it looks excellent. And again, them putting wiring in this was very clever, and it makes it much easier to shape it to its neck. So let's get to the fun part though. Let's throw Akuma, Ryu, and Ken in some poses, and then we'll close out this video and I'll share my final thoughts. So I got these guys in like their pre-fight stances. Obviously, Ryu is getting in a fighting pose. Akuma is just standing there like an ass confidently, like this is nothing to him. Something I do want to point out, which is a bit unfortunate, I do feel like Akuma's ankles are pretty weak in comparison to Ryu and Ken. You really have to work at it and move his legs. You can see he's kind of standing ever so slightly awkward. I don't know if it's just my copy or if it's just the nature of those sandals, as they're not perfectly flat on the bottom. The design, they're slightly curved. He does need the stand, I think. I think to be confident, especially if you're putting him like high up where he could fall, definitely be careful when posing Akuma. He does fall over pretty easily, so it's a bit unfortunate. Again, it could just be my copy, but I noticed his ankles seem to be way looser than Ryu. I've got him here looking really pissed with that flame effect piece. I think he looks awesome like this. I do have him kind of lunging forward, so I posed up the gi at the bottom and the belt. As you can see, that wiring holds really, really nicely. It's almost like an album cover. This is truly the Avengers level Street Fighter team up that we don't deserve. As you can see, I put Ken, Ryu, and Akuma next to each other just so you could see the similarities in the body. You can see Akuma actually has a decent amount of height difference on them from those sandals, so that's pretty cool. It kind of sets those bodies apart. They look great together. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it having the exact same body apart from the flesh tone does not bother me at all. You can see next to each other here, it does not make a difference. I think they look awesome. Again, all of these guys look like they were pulled right out of the game. I cannot wait for Chun-Li. I think Chun-Li is probably going to be the next announcement from Iconiq. I've been dodging all of those third-party figures left and right, just waiting for Iconiq's announcement. I will say this, apart from the ankles being a little bit on the looser side compared to the other two, he poses and bends exactly the same, of course, to be expected. I didn't do any posability in this video because in the interest of time, I wanted to keep the video a bit shorter, and you guys have seen this body before. Also, I didn't put Akuma in any crazy poses because, again, those ankles are a bit weaker. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of Akuma in the comments down below. See ya.